Sunny ways, my friends. Sunny ways.
Your 16 seconds are up. I'm going to ask you again because nobody believes you when you say you don't know how much money your family has got from the wheat group. You've had a month to look into that. You knew you were going to testify here. Again, how much money total have your brother, mother, and spouse received from this organization? How much?
That information has been publicly shared. I will highlight.
Well, then tell me what it is.
Can you dig it? Can you dig it? Can you dig it?
We have recently switched to drinking water bottles out of water out of when we have water bottles out of plastic. Away from plastic towards paper, like drink box water bottles sort of thing. Sorry?
The servicing costs on the debt that you're going to have to carry that you're adding to now, right?
Interest rates are at historic lows, Glenn.
There's the funds.
On the topic, I mean, in terms of your sort of strategy currently, you're obviously taking the populist pathway.
What does that mean? Oh, Justin, you're awake. You made it. Have a seat. Have a coffee. You need some. Wakey time.
Let's cut that Disney Plus subscription. So we cut it. It's only $13.99 a month that we're saving, but every little bit helps.
A lot of people would say that you're simply taking a page out of the Donald Trump book.
Which people would say that?
Well, I'm sure a great many Canadians, but...
Like who?
I don't know who, but...
Well, you're the one who asked the question, so
yeah.
You must know somebody. Yeah, that's all that's coming off. There's nothing else coming off, yeah. I'm not Justin Trudeau here. Let's fucking go!
Let's fucking go.
Knockout!
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to Friday Night Fringe. Back to the Fringe. Yes, it is me, Derek, sitting in here tonight without Mrs. Fringe. She is actually under the weather. She will not be joining us this evening. It was sudden, so again, we had technical difficulties. My apologies to everyone. But hey, let's go on with the show. The show must go on. Ladies and gents, I have an exciting announcement tonight as we start the Fringe. Before we get into the roll call, memberships. I have now changed. Usually when you become a member, it says welcome to the Fringe. We always say you're a part of the Fringe. That has been rebranded. We are now calling it the Patriots Club. And in fact, everybody who's a member is now a patriot of this channel. If you want to show your dismay for Justin Trudeau, anytime you become a member of the Patriots Club, you simply get a icon and badge next to your name with an upside down maple leaf to show the government your dismay in the chat. So if you want to become a member, not only does it support the channel, but after we move, again, we were going to do it monthly, but now with the move, things are a little difficult with the shipping. But after the move, once a month, and we will get caught up on months that were missed, you will be in a draw for one of these hand-stitched, or embroidered, I should say, not hand-stitched, but embroidered, unacceptable Fringe hoodies. We've already given one away. We'll be giving one away every month. Only to members. That's the only way you can get in, because not only are you supporting the channel, but it then gives back and gets your name in the draw for something special. So it's the only way to get them. They will not be on sale. Any months we have missed up until the move, when we can have a proper mailing address to get those out to you guys, we will be doing back draws for those members. So if we miss this month, which we probably will, then we'll do 2 in October or 3 in November, whichever it be, up until the move. So people will get their draws done. Just keep in mind, when you do become a member, you are supporting the channel, but also that once your name is drawn for a hoodie, your name will be taken out of the pool or out of rotation for 12 months, simply so that other people in the pool can get their name in, because it is a randomizer that does the draws. And we want to make sure everybody who supports the channel has their name in the rankings to get themselves a limited edition unacceptable Fringe embroidered hoodie. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, let's get a roll call going. Let's get the show starting off with a bang. Jump into the chat. Let me know where you're from. Let's see if we can get somebody from every province in Canada hanging out in the stream tonight. Let me know where you're from. If it's your first time here, let me know as well, because it's always great to see new people joining us in the chat. Let's go. Let's get it going on. Right off the bat, we got Miss Danny coming in Canada. I'm in near Calgary. Welcome into the stream. We got Jacques coming in from Kappa's Casing, Ontario with the LFGs. Get those LFGs in the chats, folks. Get those thumbs up in the chats. Let's see how high we can get the viewer count tonight. I hope your wife feels better. Sorry, Kitty and Son here from Tweed, Ontario. Welcome into the stream. Thank you so much for the kind words. We've got Ingrid and Charlie coming in from Okotoks, Alberta. We got Wesley Snipes, coming in from Lethbridge, Alberta. We've got Suzanne coming in from Saskatchewan, Bella coming in from Windsor, Ontario, Gina from Saskatchewan. We got the Tune of Lee from Edmonton. We've got Carson Sexsmith joining us from Porno Viagra, Mexico. Welcome into the stream. It's great to have you all here. Mochaccino Latte coming in from Ontario, Pembroke. We got Carrie coming in from Alberta. Peggy, Big Howard in Saskatchewan. We got Danny with the LFG from Devon, Alberta, soon to be a neighbor. Nicole Cook saying it's her first live. Welcome to Friday Night Fringe. It's great to have you here on the stream. Julia coming in from Toronto, Ontario. We got Did That Hurt from Winnipeg coming in. Welcome to the stream. We got TB from Vulcan. Not to be mistaken with Star Trek, but yes, there is a USS Enterprise in that town. It is very cool. But welcome into the stream. It's great to see you. Debbie from Lloyd coming in. It's a newbie. Debbie, welcome in. Everybody say hi to Debbie. We got hello from the mountains of Alberta for T. Rich. Welcome in. We got Anna Marie coming in from Ponoka, Alberta. We got Black-Faced Son of Castro coming in from Windsor, Nova Scotia once again. Jancor coming in from Ottawa. Banninger Management, I'll wait for my hoodie for Christmas. Look, just because you're family doesn't mean you get anything. Let me tell you, some favors are going to have to come forward for that one, bro. We got non-compliant Canadian. Greetings from Eastern Ontario. When I was young, I was poor, but a decade after hard work, I am no longer young. There you go. Welcome into the stream. Great to have you here. We got Claire coming in from Lac Saint Anne, Alberta. Welcome in. It's great to have you here. We got Mike from Ampere, Ontario. How you doing? Welcome into the stream. We got the Celtic Canuck joining us finally from Ontario. Celtic, welcome in. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but I did a promo. Celtic Canuck has a new channel that does like you ever watch like Cold Case Files or murder mysteries and things like that? She does these really cool news stories. I'm going to put the channel up later in the stream just so those who stick around get a link to that channel. But guys, when I do, go and check it out. It's going to be great. In fact, you know what? I should probably just put that link up right away. Celtic, remind me the name of that channel again. I do have it on my list. I can't pull it during the stream. We got Ingrid coming with the LFGs. We got Wesley Snipes with the LFGs. Tim with Alliston, Ontario. Julia with the LFGs as well. Len from North Bay, Ontario. Mike TV Dub jumping in from Winnipeg once again. Welcome into the stream. Indestructible coming in from Edmonton. Great to see you guys here. We got TL from Alberta. I'm trying to get all the guys in the chat here. What do we got here? We got Deanna coming in from Marcellin, Saskatchewan. I hope I pronounced that properly. Nova Scotia with Angela. Welcome into the stream. It's great to have you here. We got JD Thornsbury, Alberta with the LFG. Welcome in. Miss Danny's coming in south of Calgary. Great to have you in here. We've got somebody saying my volume is off. Is my volume really off? Can you guys hear me? Or no? Is my volume really off, or is that somebody saying volume is great here? Okay, there we go. We're okay. We're okay. RC Lemieux from Edmonton. I'm assuming my volume was okay because I said Mrs. Fringe was under the weather, and everybody said that they hope she feels better. But hey, Master Snatch jumping in. Who wants a free shirt? Send bribes to El Snatcho, my Hispanic cousin twice removed. There you go. Snatch has an underground deal going on. Deanna Vaughn with a $10 super chat. Speak it, buddy. Well, welcome in. Thank you so much for the $10 super chat. I appreciate that. Guys, I got to get caught up in the stream, but before I do, Jancor with a $5 super chat. Get the nice Kleenex to Miss Fringe. There you go. Absolutely, I will. Welcome into everybody else who is in here. Did Celtic drop the name of that channel? Where is she? I'm trying to find her in the chat here. I hope Mrs. Fringe feels better soon, she says. There we go. Celtic with a hey snatch. Unholy History is the name of the YouTube channel. Thank you. I knew it was something history. On Unholy History, guys. Get over to Unholy History. Check it out on YouTube. I will give me 1 second here. You know what? I'm gonna post a link just so you guys have one. I'll post it now. I was gonna post it later, but you know what? All you guys have had to wait for me to start this stream while I've dealt with family issues. So you know what? I'm gonna throw you a bone here. We're gonna get that in the chat. Show Celtic Canucks some love. If you liked her, if you like Celtic Canucks political videos, these stories are gripping and absolutely fantastic. I love them. I always put them on at night. I enjoy listening to them, and boy, they're a little chilling, but fun to take in. Just some good old, hopefully fictional lore, but it's always a great time. If you like things like Cold Case Files, like I said, or any of those kind of ghost stories or things like that, go and check out Unholy History. It's a really cool channel. Get in there and check that out. One channel that's not doing so well today, and where I want to start off the stream, is apparently, I don't know if you guys have heard, if you've been on social media or if you've seen anything that's going on social media as of late. Apparently, we're all Russian. If you're on the right side of the fence, there's a huge smear campaign going on all over Twitter these days, saying that I guess if you're posting far right ideologies, you are in fact a communist. You're getting money from Russia. I'm going to show an article here. Right before I do that, though, I do have to get to Karen Lysak with a $27.99 super chat. Karen, wow, that's very generous. Thank you so much. Wow, I always get a little verklempt when I get those kind of super chats because wow, I just never know what to say to show my thanks other than thank you. Absolutely amazing. It's thank you. Let's get on with what's happening in the world of the Russians, because guys, this is craziness. You guys ever watch like Tim Pool? You hear of Tim Pool? You guys know who Tim Pool is. Lauren Southern, Lauren Chen, just to mention a few people. Let's pull up this article from the good old Communist Broadcasting Corporation, the CBC, because of course, you know, the CBC are the ones talking about Russians. Every time somebody does something now, it's Russia, Russia, Russia. Do we say like Sarah Palin? It's Russia, Russia, Russia. Every time that comes up. But of course, it says here, meet the right-wing Canadian influencers accused of collaborating with an alleged Russian propaganda scheme. Tenet media founder Lauren Chen allegedly took funds from pro-Moscow outlet. Now, the reason they have to put allegedly in there is because, of course, they're accusing her of something which she obviously hasn't done, and they'd hate to get sued for defamation. But let's go through this article just so you guys have an understanding as to what is going on here, because it really is hilarious when we get down to it. Social media accounts of two of Canadians' most vocal far-right pundits have fallen unusually silent after U.S. officials accused them of being collaborators of a covert Russian propaganda campaign. On Wednesday, let me hang on. I was going to bring it over to my other screen so I could read it better for you guys, but that'll take it off your screen. On Wednesday, the U.S. Justice Department unsealed an indictment against two Russian nationals, accusing them of setting up a conservative media outlet as a front for pro-Kremlin propaganda. Again, during an election year in the United States, of course, they're going to bring up Russia because Donald Trump's on his way back into office. So, of course, Russiagate's going to be Russiagate 2.0. At this point, the media outlet was named in the indictment, but it was clear from the details within the charges referred to Tenet Media, founded in 2023 by Canadian influencer known as Lauren Chen and her husband, Liam Donovan. Among the people they hired last year was Chen's longtime friend and occasional collaborator, Lauren Southern, another Canadian far-right influencer with a massive social media following. In the few short months it operated, the outlet produced a steady stream of content favorable to Donald Trump, including an appearance by his daughter-in-law, Laura Trump. Now, Laura Trump has been all over the media outlet. She's done interviews with lots of people. I don't really see how this is far right or Russian propaganda, but it's always funny to see how the CBC stretches things. Since the indictment was made public, several Tenet Media collaborators have come forward to claim they were unaware of how the company was funded. Well, that's because it's not true. These allegations clearly show that I and other commentators were victims of this scheme. Dave Rubin, a right-wing pundit with 2.45 million YouTube subscribers, wrote on X, formerly known as Twitter. So Dave Rubin, of course, named in this indictment. Southern and Chen have yet to speak publicly. Reached by phone on Thursday, Chen told the CBC News, "We're not commenting at this time." Southern did not respond to an email either. Neither was posted anything to online since the indictment was made public. Neither Chen, Donovan, nor Southern are subject to criminal charges, and none are named in the indictment. Well, of course not. Again, it's a nothing burger, right? Snatch says that they're innocent until proven guilty, but the allegations have jeopardized their standing within right-wing circles. Chen has already been fired from another conservative website, Glenn Beck's The Blaze. Her YouTube channel, which had more than 572,000 subscribers, was terminated on Thursday, and her bio page on the website for Turning Point USA, a pro-Trump campus activist group, has been deleted. So again, when they say that, oh, they've been abnormally silent, well, of course they've been silent. They've had their accounts deleted. They can't be public when their accounts have been removed. YouTube also removed Tenet Media's channel on Thursday, saying it violated our community guidelines. I'd be curious how. So it goes on to explain who Lauren Chen is through her accomplishments, and then it also mentions Lauren Southern. Since Tenet Media began publishing content, Southern has produced several videos from the outlet focusing on Canadian issues. Titles range from "Canada's becoming a communist hellhole," which compares Canada to Russia, and "Mean tweets equals life in prison in Canada," with a question mark, which criticizes the proposed Online Harms Act. Again, this is freedom of speech. This is our right to speech. There's no hate speech in the title of a video, especially if you're being observant of what's going on in Canadian culture. Here's the biggest thing. If you guys remember, there was a I guess you could call it a meeting of the minds last June in Victoria. It was called We Unify. It was in Victoria, Vancouver Island, where many people, including Lauren Southern and Lauren Chen, were in attendance, as well as some other faces that you might know that have now been called out in this group. Somebody posted out here, Lauren Chen's exciting news. I'll be hosting the We Unify Reclaiming Canada conference this June in Victoria, BC. I'll also be performing stand-up comedy and taking part in a lively conversation with Lauren Southern on women's politics and distilling vodka because we're Russians, right? That's how it's done. Now you can see here Dr. Drew Pinsky being listed here, Dr. McCullough being listed on here as well. You got Lauren Chen, Lauren Southern. You got Drea Humphrey from Rebel News. Tamara Leach was there. John Carpe was there. Chris Barber was there. Marty Up North was there. They were all speakers at this convention. So already what we're seeing from this is that they're going to come out and say these are all people. There's already smear campaigns for Tamara Leach going online saying she took money from Russia, that she's in bed with the Russians now. I will remind you though, that one of the things that does spark my curiosity when it comes to Lauren Chen and Tenet Media is this is the same company with their conventions. They brought Boris Johnson to Canada earlier last year to talk about the forever wars, essentially preaching why we should be involved with Russia, with the Ukraine, with all the things going on in the world. That, again, Boris Johnson of all people, really, like, it doesn't help their case. It certainly doesn't help what they're protesting against. And it has me questioning. But of course, you see this mildly known YouTuber down in the bottom corner. And that's where I want to clear the air here. Because while people are going to say Tamara Leach, yeah, she took money from the truckers. She supposedly bought a house in Gatineau, Quebec with the truckers' money, which is false. People have been making up lies about Tamara for a long time, and Chris Barber. I know both of them personally. What I can tell you is that I am 99.9% sure, and I'll say it like that in case that 0.1% turns out to be wrong, which I highly doubt it. But I'm 99.9% sure that neither Chris Barber nor Tamara Leach are taking money from Russians in order to spread news or spread propaganda. That's completely false. And the reason I say it is because when you look at this gentleman down here in the bottom corner, that apparently does nothing, there are people within that group of speakers that lack the intelligence or the testicular fortitude to be a Russian op. It's just not possible. It's that in itself should tell you that this is all just a nothing burger, because who would pay for that? Who? It's not possible. It's not possible. That's like giving Gomer Pyle $1 million to be a communist. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. It's all fake. It's all fake until they come out with actual documents that say, hey, this is real, this is legitimate. Here's our proof, other than just striking down channels and saying that they go against community service or community guidelines, then I'm not going to buy anything that they're selling. Vikram saying Singh's on the barbecue menu. Well done, please. Absolutely. We're going to get into that. Derek is catty tonight. Nah, we're just spitting facts. It does make me wonder again when they bring people like Boris Johnson to come and speak, what these groups are insinuating, or what. I don't know if it was like, I don't think it was We Unify, but I definitely think it was Tenet Media that brought him down. But at the same time, like, why would you want Boris Johnson of all people? Yikes. I mean, if they wanted somebody to learn how to make vodka or taste test vodka, I mean, they could probably get some of those speakers over there. I'm sure they'd be happy to jump into that mix. But when it comes to Russian bots, no, not possible. Mike TV saying Boris Johnson's a war criminal, should be in prison. Absolutely. Well, and again, that's what makes me question when Tenet Media says we're going to bring him in. We're going to bring him down here. We're going to bring him down for our conference on. And again, I don't want to say unification because I don't believe it was for We Unify. But again, Lauren Chen, sorry, I'm going to remove my hat. It's very hot today. Lauren Chen having her hands in all of these things, it just doesn't help her case. It doesn't help her argument. But again, it's the CBC that's spreading these smear campaigns. It's the left side of the media that's spreading it. Of course, during an election year in the US, when you've got guys like Tim Pool being indicted, saying that he'll cooperate with the FBI, when you've got Dave Rubin saying, oh, I had no idea they were involved with that, that doesn't help the case either. What Dave Rubin should be saying is unless he's seen physical proof of their involvement in that, saying, if they're involved with that, I had no idea, but I certainly am not. It's saying Russian bots are known as Botsky. There you go. It's essentially a nothing burger. You think about what's happening with Joe Biden's son this week, or this upcoming week, with his laptop issues, the fact that he could go to jail. The big question is he going to get a pardon from Biden before his presidency ends? What is going to happen? Of course, he's going to get a pardon. He's going to skate. He's not worried. But all of these allegations, again, as soon as Trump gets into the mix, and as soon as there's talk of anybody getting involved with any kind of speech against their current government, well, they're either Russians or they're bots or they're conspiracy theorists, or like we always see these words float around. And I just wanted to kind of touch on that because if there's one thing I can't stand, it's them attacking people like Tamara Leach, Rebel News, Chris Barber, people that genuinely are good people that have done nothing more than fight for people's rights within Canada and actually try to bring this country together, do positive things for this country. And this is their repayment. This is what they get. They're still, by the way, somebody said that their court case had wrapped up. Tamara's court case wasn't finished. They're still dealing with that. They're still dealing with the aftermath. And don't forget, when that's over, they still have to deal with the federal or provincial lawsuit, with Paul Champ and Zexi Lee over the funds that are now in escrow for the Freedom Truckers. So a lot more to come still on their front. They gave up their freedoms. They gave up their freedoms so that we could have ours back. And now they're being called Russian bots. I just don't agree with it. Vikram saying they paid the price for it. Absolutely, they paid the price for it. It's a real shame. I've seen people make some really broad accusations at Tamara about plastic surgery, about houses, about money being stolen, about all these things. And all I have to say to those people is you should really give your head a shake, because anybody who's willing to go across the country, be put in handcuffs, thrown in solitary confinement so that you can go to a restaurant, so that you can go grocery shopping again, so that you can have your friends over for a holiday meal, that's pretty selfless. And I think it's very disrespectful to say anything negative about people who are willing to put their necks on the line like that for others. Sean with a $10 super chat. Woodbridge, Ontario, and is building 20-minute cities, starting with transit and building tall condos around. Second, on redacted news, someone mentioned City Council of Toronto contains WEF members. What do you think? Well, Toronto has installed mayors like Olivia Chow. It doesn't surprise me. Of course, they're in bed with the WEF. It makes total sense. Rick Robitaille with a $10 super chat. Great space here. I appreciate that, Rick. Going back to Sean's question, I do want to acknowledge that. It's what you have to remember is that, and we talked about this on the earlier week stream on Wednesday night, that it's all a show. It's all theater. We're going to get into that when we get to Jagmeet and Justin Trudeau and their fallout. But again, it's when you look at the behavior of Olivia Chow, when you see her policies, that she has no reason to be the mayor of Toronto, that she was installed again. When you look at her dancing in the streets and trying to rename racist roads rather than taking care of the crime or people defecating in the streets or the tent encampments all around Toronto, that tells you enough. Of course, they're in bed with the WEF. 20-minute cities, I can tell you right now, part of what I'm seeing in Calgary is the reason that we're leaving. I love Calgary. I've said it a million times over. I love the city. I've been here for 29 years. And I'm leaving because I don't see it getting better before it gets worse. Maybe one day I'll come back, but if you're in the Toronto area and if you're dealing with those kind of policies, if you don't want to be around 20-minute cities, my advice, try to find a way to get out of there as soon as possible. Head for smaller towns, get away from big cities. I feel like they're a lost cause. That's just my personal opinion. But and as Stinger says, it's sad. It's very sad. It's a shame too, because I'll tell you right now, I've got two amazing realtors that are working on our house right now that love Calgary just as much as I do. In fact, they're on YouTube as well. Natalie and Mark Neustrader. Again, I'm going to do a proper shout out once we get everything wrapped up with them, because I'd like to get some info from them about their social media. I believe it's Living in YYC is their YouTube channel. But they do, they love this town. They love that, they can sell homes to people wanting to come to Calgary, people who want a better life. And the city's just, what was it Donald Trump said? It's turning into a third world shithole. It's too bad. I mean, again, it's not the city, it's the people that are making it that way that's the problem. I'm really trying to find a way to put the words in proper order tonight, because it's I want to make sure I'm not offending anybody. When you look at everything that's happening in Calgary right now, if you guys remember me talking about Jyoti Gondek and her infamous water issues, the fact that we still can't use water in this city. I've got a lawn that's dead because we couldn't use water for more than 2 weeks this summer. Everybody in this town has lawns full of crabgrass, weeds everywhere, unable to look after their properties. Jyoti Gondek saying now that people should be, again, cutting off their showers, cutting down their water use. Again, the snitch lines are open. And while all of that has been going on, they have this rapid expansion going on called the Green Line LRT. Now, if you're not in Calgary, and again, I know a lot of our viewers watch from outside of Calgary, if you don't know what the LRT is, it's called light rail transit, or it's essentially like a subway. It's an above ground subway that runs on an electrical line that we have in Calgary. They're trying to expand it short term on a shorter line through downtown and up into the north end of Calgary, and they're calling it the short line, or the Green Line LRT. Now, this was Naheed Nenshit's baby when he was leaving Calgary. He put the costs through the roof. People have been taxed to hell for that. And now Jyoti Gondek been refused by the province from Danielle Smith to continue the Green Line LRT because the cost is just too exponentially high. Jyoti Gondek knows nothing about managing a budget. We've seen that from people like Justin Trudeau, who think that they can just spend and push it onto the taxpayer. Jyoti Gondek is finding out full force that she can't do that in a municipality because she's essentially told Danielle Smith that it's going to cost exponentially more. In fact, 2.5 times more than what they originally predicted the Green Line was going to cost. And Danielle Smith saying, no, the province isn't going to pay for that. We're not. You should be focusing on your water problems. Now, Jody Gondek is furious. And of course, she says, well, we're still going to submit the bill to the province. We deserve this. We don't care what you say. They're trying to villainize Danielle Smith because she doesn't want to get on board with, even Vikram says it here, the credit card country. Jody Gondek, essentially, that's a good way of putting it. She basically handles the city like a teenager with her parents' credit card. She just thinks she can spend and just charge it all to it. I want to get on Richard's comment because it got out of the corner of my eye here. I've been here for 56 years and the city has been in a state of decline since the 70s when the first groups of immigrants showed up. We're in accelerated decline now due to DEI policy. Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. If my husband Charles and I were in Calgary, I will still shower before bed and after breakfast. And nobody is saying we can't do those things. They've said that we reduce those, but outdoor water use is prohibited. But car washes are still open. Restaurants are still putting water out by the gallon. In fact, the city is still using their non-potable water to water plants and grass in public parks all over our neighborhood. They've got no problem doing that stuff, but we're not supposed to use any. Again, this is where it came down to the hypocrisy of it all, where I said it's very similar to what happened during COVID-19. It's, if the rules made sense, I would probably find it easier to get on board with what they're asking me of. You know, if they really had an intelligent way to lay it out where it made sense on paper, where they said, look, these are the levels. These are why we have to restrict things, and these are the things that we must restrict and why. This is where the majority of our water usage comes from. This is how we can reduce our limits. Or we're going to reduce over here, but allow a little bit over here just to make up for reducing that. I get on board with those things. But you guys remember, and again, I've talked about it on multiple Friday Night Fringes, where you couldn't buy certain items in a store at Christmas during the coof because it hung out in those aisles. You can only buy essentials. Right? You're not allowed to go to a movie theater where, again, they could spread people out exponentially by only selling a couple of seats per row for movies while still keeping the theaters open while people had nowhere to go and socialize. Restaurants, same thing. Every second or third table could have been seated at the restaurant, but instead shut it down, tell people no. But you can go to Costco, you can go to Walmart, and you can stand elbow to elbow with people. No big deal. The disease doesn't hang out in those stores. Right? It doesn't affect anybody there. It's the same thing with these water restrictions. Go ahead and shower, run a hose line from your kitchen sink into your backyard, and you can use outdoor water that way because technically it's coming from inside the house. But if you dare turn on your outside taps, if you water your lawn, if you wash your car, spray debris off your driveway, anything outdoors against the law. And the snitch lines are open. Can't live like that. You just can't live like that. It's sad. It's really sad that this is where we've gotten to. This is what we've become. I know a lot of people often bring up the fact that we're moving to a town that's outside of a major city, that, well, it's a bedroom community. You're going to see more of that type of behavior. Yes, but the city or the town that I'm moving to is a conservative stronghold that doesn't really put up with the politics of woke ideology. And I think that's the refreshing part, is that you don't have a lot of people walking around saying, you should just suck it up. You should do what you're told. You're a bigot. You're a terrible person. We need to get back to that in our major cities. I think what's sad about the whole thing is that earlier, when I think about it, is what is this? Mouth of the South. I'm going to do a timeout on that. There's certain words we don't allow in the stream. I'm going to ask that you don't use that, please. I don't like to silence people on free speech, but that is one word. There are words we cannot have in the chat. When you think about major cities and the fact that we've given them up, Toronto, I mean, again, in the 1990s, I always wanted to go to Toronto. I wanted to go see Much Music. I wanted to walk down Queen Street. I wanted to see what it was like, because essentially Toronto was the Canadian version of New York. Which word? The R word. The what is it? They call it the gamer word, I guess. For a mentally handicapped person, we'll say. There's certain words. Now, don't get me wrong. As a kid, we used to use that word all the time, but these days it's frowned upon. I know YouTube frowns upon it. You timed out mouth? Yes, I did. Just for that one word. Again, it's more of a warning shot. Just guys, I had to. It's YouTube's gonna slap me down. I can't have my channel going down because of a couple of posts in a chat. You have to understand that. It's I try very hard not to censor anybody on these channels or on these streams or anywhere else, but it's it's not me. That's why I was saying even as a kid I used to use that word. So I'm not saying that I disagree with sometimes putting the use of the word in some places. God, even when I do my Peter Griffin, I use that word a lot, but it's just when we use it on YouTube, I get struck down. Hannibal, what I just said was okay. I'm not going to argue semantics. I'm talking about YouTube's terms of service. There's certain things that can't be said. In fact, I don't even know how that got in because it was supposed to be blanked out automatically with the censors. But it's anyway. I'll blame Russia. There we go. Keith says blame Russia. There we go. It's crazy. I think YouTube is doing some censorship. Yes. Well, you'll notice this week. Anytime people were talking about the Justin Trudeau Jagmeet Singh thing, it's been pushed down severely unless it's a major media outlet. Anytime, and this is again where that attack on right-wing extremist groups, when you look at what's happening with Tenet Media, is so important, because essentially what YouTube is going to start doing is punching down on channels like myself, like Moose on the Loose, like The Pleb, like Mr. Sunshine Baby, anybody who wants to report on this kind of stuff. They're going to shut it down because they're going to say, well, you're a far right extremist, and we have proof of other people taking influencers' money from other places. We're going to shut you down. They look for people to drop these kind of comments so that they can simply shut you down, so that they have an excuse. If you guys even, and it's funny because I was talking with even Celtic Canuck about it the other day, that when you look at the view counts on videos, you know, when you see channels that have so many subscribers and videos that hit 80, 90, 100,000 views, and then all of a sudden 3,000 the next day, it doesn't add up. It doesn't make sense. YouTube actively censors channels and shadow bans channels whenever they feel like it, especially in the political realm. And I had a very in-depth conversation with Jeremy over at the Quartering about that, where he showed me a little bit of the ins and outs of how that goes down. And yeah, it's out there. It definitely happens. So DMAC mentioning Rebel News, it happens to Rebel News all the time. All the time. And people always say to me, Derek, go over to Rumble, go and do the look. I'm still working with Rumble. There's an issue with the account at Rumble. It's not like an issue on my end. There's an issue I'm trying to straighten out with Rumble so I don't have to start a new account. There was some kind of glitch or problem or something. I'm still working on it with Rumble. But the reason I can't go to Rumble full time, the amount of time that I put into YouTube, at some point, I've said it before, I never ask for super chats openly. I never ask for people to spend money openly on this channel. I always say, if you want to support, that's up to you. But I do make a living on YouTube, and YouTube's where the money is. I say, let the $1 billion corporation pay me every month. I'm okay with them paying me, you know, when people watch videos. If they could get with that program, if Rumble could get on the same program as YouTube in terms of how they pay their content creators, absolutely, I'd move over there in a heartbeat. 90% of my comments I leave on Derek's videos are shadow banned. I'm obviously on some filter list for my bad words. It's funny because I have commented in my own comment section and my comments get filtered out. Censorship is crazy. Hannibal Lecter saying it flat out here. He's got a good point. Rumble sucks, but I hate YouTube. Don't be foolish, though. They're going to come for you soon. Absolutely. But that's what I'm talking about when you look at what's happening with Tenet Media again. They're looking for excuses to silence content creators. They want you to be kicked off the platform so that they can essentially make their money off of people doing little kid videos of children playing with kids' toys and things like that, and PewDiePie's and, you know, all those kinds of things. Is PewDiePie still a thing? Maybe I'm wrong there. I don't know. But you get my drift, right? They make the kids family oriented video market on YouTube is huge compared to politics. I'm sure they would rather get rid of politics altogether on the channel or on the platform. I mean, Daphne's saying so many channels are getting hit hard and without reason. It's unjust. Well, it is, and it's really sad at the end of the day too. When, like I said, my experience on YouTube as a stay-at-home father, and again, people say, well, then don't stay home. I have 3 kids under 10 years old, and the cost of putting them in daycare is through the roof. That even getting a full-time job wouldn't pay the bill at the end of the day for them to go to daycare. We'd actually be in the hole. So YouTube became a job for me because I'm at home anyways. People wanted to hear what I had to say, and I got lucky on the platform. So when you depend on a certain amount of living every month, when you look at and again the living coming from YouTube, I never again look to other people to support me financially. But when you look at a billion-dollar corporation, multi-billion-dollar corporation, and you say, look, I put out the content I'm told to put out every week. I'm gaining subscribers. My views should be coming in. Everything should be going the way um, that a properly run channel should go. However, again, some days I'll hit 80, 90,000 views on a video. Then other days it's 3,000 out of nowhere. Jagmeet Singh breaking ground with Justin Trudeau should have been huge news. And if you look at the mainstream outlet pages, those videos like CBC, CTV, Global News, they're all getting hundreds of thousands of views on those videos, while people like myself, Sunshine Baby, again, Moose on the Loose, average, 15, 20,000, 30,000, 40,000 views while they're raking it in. It's suppression. It's shadow banning. So I always bring up those other channels because I don't ever want anybody to think that I'm poo-pooing because of my situation. I do very well on YouTube for a channel this size. So I certainly don't want to ever make it sound like I'm suffering by any measure. But the reason I bring it up is because it's important to know that these creators, especially like Celtic Canuck, and I do want to highlight her comment, it's BS. I've seen views counts annually going down live. How do you unwatch a video? I've seen batches of subs disappear. I've had people telling me that they get unsubbed from the channel multiple times, sometimes in a week. But even Celtic Canuck, you look at, Mouth of the South is back. I'm glad. Good. Welcome back. Thank you. I'm glad you stuck around. Celtic Canuck used to put a lot of work into her videos. She still does. I shouldn't say used to. These long form videos that she puts together takes a lot of time, a lot of editing, a lot of work. And the reward for that is getting the information out to the viewer. But at the same time, the reward is also coming back with more subscribers, with more watch time, watching your channel grow like a flower that you give attention to from a seed. You want to see it turn into a garden. That's the whole point of YouTube, is that your creative instinct is paying off and you're showing people that you know what you're doing in a creative realm. And when YouTube actively suppresses channels to say, well, we just don't like your opinion, so we're going to squash you down here, it's unjust and unfair. It's unconstitutional. And it's a shame. Oh, I know you were referring to Jag. Yeah, absolutely. Believe me, I didn't think you were talking about me. It wasn't because of me. It was again the word. I have to time it out, or else again YouTube gets on my butt. It's Celtic saying her garden might be a stunted cactus. No, Celtic does do great content, and I've always loved her content from day one. I've even said, when I first made the announcement I was going to throw my hat into the ring to run for mayor of Calgary, Celtic contacted me and stepped up and said, let me put a video together for you. Let me do an announcement video for you. I want to help. And she put together an amazing, amazing video in a very short period of time. Something that I'm definitely not educated in doing myself. And that's, again, where I see the hard work that goes into those videos get discredited by shadow banning. I hate seeing it on any platform. I hate seeing it anywhere. Because if you're following the rules, if you're following terms of service, if you're not being offensive, if you're not crossing the line, why? Why do we have to be in a society like that? How much is somebody's soul worth? How much is a corporation's soul worth? We all know the answer, but I'm just asking theoretically. You would think that there's somebody out there, whether you're in government, whether you're a lawyer, whether you're in charge of a multi-billion-dollar corporation, that there would be somebody out there who has a soul at some point and says, yeah, that's just not right. And I know that's the way we used to do things, but we're just not going to do it that way anymore. And say what you want about guys like Elon Musk. Twitter isn't perfect by any stretch, but I at least love that Elon purchased Twitter to make a statement that we're going to try our best to make sure that speech isn't censored. At least on there, you can go out and talk about jibby jabs without any problems or having a hard issue. You were hard to find on YouTube tonight, says Angela. Again, there you go. It's so sad to see that. The whole reason I got into YouTube, the whole reason I stay on YouTube is I got on at a time when our government was talking about censoring the speech of people who wanted to get information out. And as somebody who loves their country, I said, no, if people, now I was very fortunate with my projects that people started to understand who Unacceptable Fringe was before I got onto YouTube, that I didn't have as much of a struggle getting into the platform as anybody who just starts a channel out of nowhere would have. And I've always counted that as a blessing. I definitely don't take that for granted. But one thing I've always appreciated is that we're supposed to be living in a country where we're deemed to have free speech, where we're deemed to have the choice to decide who our government is going to be, and that our government is supposed to act in an unselfish way at the will of the people. We're supposed to have freedom of speech. We're supposed to have a constitution or a charter of rights that protects each and every citizen. So I got onto YouTube because I wanted to make sure that the information that was coming out about a corrupt government that felt entitled, led by a narcissist, was getting out there so that people could get the information. Because if you sit around and say nothing, nobody's the wiser. There are stories out there that I sometimes talk about that are old, where people say, I had no idea that was happening. And if you can reach just one extra person, if the information can get out there so that people can start to understand the inner workings of their country, they can understand the inner workings of businesses and enterprises and globally dominated companies that censor you out of the world, that program everything attuned to fitting their narrative. If you can wake one person up, then it's all worth it. And that's why I'm never upset when I see another YouTube content creator coming on, when I see another political channel starting up, when I see somebody else talking out about Justin Trudeau or about Jagmeet Singh, people talking about new laws that are being formed or bills that are being passed, even municipal issues in small towns. People always say, oh, what difference can I make? I'm just one person. But the thing that people don't understand is if everybody just said, I am one person and I'm just going to tell one more, people would be a lot more informed and the world would be a better place. Here's a thought. Follow the Celtic Canuck. Yes, after you follow Unacceptable Fringe. Don't forget to follow me. Give me that follow, guys. Don't be stingy. That's Amnesty chiming in. They cause chaos, then they say they have a solution, which makes more chaos. Yes. Well, cause a problem, be the solution, right? That's, I guess it all boils down to taking all of that and putting it in a ball to say that this is why our country has gotten to this state. It's not because of Justin Trudeau. It's because from 2019 to 2022, a very large percentage of Canadians bowed down and accepted the word of tyrannical government and never opened their eyes and never realized that they were actually giving up their rights, their country, their freedoms, their futures. And it's sad. Again, I've always said that I will never champion people going to the streets and stirring violence or revolting against anyone or uprising. But this country needs to come back to a point where we realize that we're losing it. It can't be lost. I'm too naive to think that this country is completely lost. But we can't be at a point where we let this country fall to the wayside. Even when leaders get in, I see people all the time saying, well, I trust Pierre. That's good if you do. Trust is earned. You know, I treat Justin Trudeau as though I'm a victim of domestic violence. You know, if you were beaten in a relationship for 10 years, you don't immediately go out with the next person and trust them 100%. It takes time for you to get comfortable around them and realize they're not going to abuse you like that last person. That's the way I treat government. I'll vote for Pierre in the next election, but I'm going to be cautiously optimistic to say, don't cross that line. Because as soon as you do, I'm not going to trust you anymore. So if you feel that Pierre is going to save you, if he's going to make your life better, I'm happy. I'm happy that you have that solace, that you feel that things are going to get better, that the dawn is getting past the darkness. But what we have to realize is that we're responsible for our country's future. We're responsible for the state of our country, and we are in charge of making sure that the country our children have, our grandchildren, our great-grandchildren inherit, is a better country than what we have right now. And you would honestly think, after so many people dealt with Trudeau Sr., that the minute the word Justin Trudeau came into their ears over a television, there would have been people saying, no, please no, we're not doing that. Mouth of the South, if PP fails, watch out. But that's kind of where I'm at. Right? Celtic saying, don't vote the politician, vote the policies. If the politician never changes, but the policies do, you can count them on, or you can call them on it. Yes, absolutely. Celtic, again, very wise. When you look at the breakup between Jagmeet Singh and Justin Trudeau, just as the show was called, and we're finally going to get to that after 52 minutes, it's all lies. It's a stunt. Pierre Poilievre called it a stunt. It's a stunt. We talked about this Wednesday night when I did my stream. It's all a stunt. Nothing is going to change. All it means is that there's no written paper formal agreement. What Jagmeet Singh, what Jimmy McJuggernuggets, Jughead, Jugmeat, whatever you want to call him, what he's doing right now is he's trying to improve his numbers so that he can try to look like a hero for the working class running against Pierre Poilievre in the next election. What nobody's telling Jagmeet Singh is that he's delusional, and that's not going to happen. But if you think that ending this agreement means that he's going to call an early election or that he's going to call out the Liberals for what they're doing, absolutely not. Nothing will change in the House of Commons. Nothing is going to change. He won't call an early election for two reasons now. Before it was just he wants his pension. But now he needs time to poise himself to try and gain that popular vote, to get the working class on board and to brainwash people into believing that, hey guys, I just followed Justin for a little bit of time and now I got my eyes clear on the prize. I know what people need. I'm fighting for the working class, just like Jack Layton did. And boy, is he sadly mistaken, because what everybody, each and every Canadian should remember is you held us hostage. It doesn't matter if it was 1 minute, 1 day, or 1 year, you held us hostage against a tyrannical government that has bombarded our economy and turned us into the poorhouse. He's turned Canada from an A-level credit rating into a third world shithole overnight, pushing woke policies and woke ideologies in the name of virtue signaling. I sometimes am baffled. Mouth saying the NDP are broke as no joke. They can't afford an election. Yeah, we mentioned that Wednesday night as well. They just finished paying off their loan from the last election. So that's another reason they're not going to call an election. They can't afford it. I'm baffled when I hear people in Alberta talking about Naheed Nenshi saying, yeah, we're going to vote him in because we're so mad at Danielle Smith. Qu'est-ce que fuck? What are you talking about? Pardon my French, but why are you voting him? Like, he destroyed Calgary. Do you not see what's going on right now? With the Green Line LRT, with the water main that he ignored, by the way. The reason we're having these water problems is that he deliberately went out of his way and ignored the inspections on those water lines because he's been involved with the World Economic Forum since as early as 2011. Are you kidding me? You're going to vote for that guy? Bad Anger Management, $27.99 superset. Did you see the parody of Jagmeet I sent you? I did. I tried to pull it up for the show tonight. It's been deleted. I love that. Yeah, I've been saying that for years. I've been saying that one for years. It's DK saying send the asteroid. Yeah, I tweeted out last week. Stop the world. I want off. I'm done. I got nothing left in the tank. Like, you turn on the news, and believe me, folks, I try to cover everything I can that's going on in politics, but there are at least a couple times during the week, I look for stories where it's like, let's try and find something funny, something positive, something that we can at least get a little bit behind or excited about. And it's tough. I understand the policy of news that, bad news sells, but is there anything good going on in the world right now? Other than the fact that we're 1 year away from Justin Trudeau losing his job? What I'm really, really sad to think about and sad to see when we talk about the spending, when we talk about what's going on in Calgary, with the water main, with the Green Line LRT, and with the bill being footed to the province for something they're not going to approve. What's that going to mean for Calgarians' taxes this year? When the taxes are recalculated, I believe it's in February next year. What are the taxes going to look like in Calgary? I shudder to think. Jody Gondek, the installed mayor of Calgary, will bankrupt this city. Only the elite rich will be able to stay. Businesses will shut down, and people will flee to the wayside. I'm telling you right now. Calgary's already known as the most expensive city in Alberta to live in. Yeah. Again, that was part of our motivation to leave. My wife and I have been in this house for 9 years, coming up on 10. And we re-signed our 5-year deal with the bank in 2020, which means next year we have to re-sign again. And when we signed in 2020, we signed at a 2.9 interest rate. 2.9. Interest rates are at historic lows, Glenn. I know the Bank of Canada just lowered it to 4.25 this week, but even at 4%, that's almost double what we're paying in interest when we re-sign next year, which is probably going to add another $300 or $400 a month to our mortgage. So my wife and I looked at that and we said, why are we staying here? What is keeping us in Calgary, aside from loving this town, loving what's around it, the people that we communicate with, the people that we see? Aside from them, what is keeping us here? And why are we paying so much more when we don't have to? And we looked around, and my wife always said, I don't like the big cities for my kids. I want small town. I want smaller town, not a big city. And we just happened to look at Spruce Grove. My illustrator lives in Spruce Grove. I've got friends near Spruce Grove. I had a family member who used to live in Spruce Grove. My brother was talking about moving to Spruce Grove at some point. So we took a look because I was curious, what drew him there? And all of a sudden I looked at it and said, if I want to get a 2,200 square foot home in Calgary, it's going to cost me almost $900,000. If I want to get a 2,200 square foot home in Spruce Grove, it's under $600,000. Why am I staying in Calgary? When we could move and have money for our kids to play sports, money for our kids to tuck away for a future, if they want to go to college, even though I have my opinions on college. Regardless, it's better opportunities. Groceries cost less in Spruce Grove than they do in Calgary. Utilities cost less in Spruce Grove than they do in Calgary. We looked at all of the factors and said we could save over $2,000 a month just by moving to Spruce Grove, which is 3 hours away. Why are we staying in a big city? And that's why we decided to leave. Because Jody Gondek, that failure of an installed mayor, has destroyed Calgary. Just like Justin Trudeau has destroyed and obliterated Canada. Just like it was said earlier, the teenager with the credit card. Wesley Snipes, I just got my update info. Upcoming mortgage term for the payment goes only 1.5% rate difference as it appears. Okay. It's still 1.5% difference. Calgary mayor's in bed with the WEF? Of course she is. She was elected in by the WEF. She was installed by the WEF. She loves Justin Trudeau, and I mean loves Justin Trudeau. You should see her whenever he comes to town. What am I seeing in the chat here? Keep talking like that about Spruce Grove, like you're going to single-handedly raise the house prices. Be careful. Says Mike Freedom Honey. I get it. I've got friends who live in small towns all around Alberta, from Calgary all the way up to Edmonton. They say the same things. I saw a comment here I wanted to highlight. Oh, here it is. Ingrid. Okotoks has more homeless people coming here. That's the big problem. So in Calgary, I'm going to highlight this comment and get to it in a second. But in Calgary, I talked on Wednesday's stream about how my wife and I went to get the kids some Timbits. They wanted Timbits. I hate Tim Hortons. I despise Tim Hortons for the way they treated people during the pandemic. But I took my kids for Timbits because they wanted them. Two guys smoking crack outside the drive-thru, nobody doing anything. And there were cops there. I start going again, why are we living here? Why are we living here? Beast Mode saying, I think you're doing the right thing by moving from Calgary to small town. Not only money and opportunities, but safety. That's exactly it. We live near an LRT station. Our house is a 5-minute walk in the southwest to the LRT. End of the LRT line. I don't even care if I dox myself anymore by saying I live in Somerset. I don't care because we're leaving. I'm not going to give you my address, but we're in Somerset. We're in the southwest portion of Calgary. And we're near the Somerset LRT station. And every day when my wife walks to work, there's a giant shelter at the C train station for people to sit when it's cold in the winter, things like that, when it's heated. My wife goes down there at 6 a.m. There's people in there having bonfires, urinating in the corners, shooting up. Nothing's being done. There's people getting harassed and robbed on trains and on the platform. Nothing is being done. And when we live a 5-minute walk from that LRT station, my wife starts saying, can we let our kids go outside and play? Even though we have a beautiful water park in our neighborhood and we got gorgeous places for the kids to go and play. We've got a provincial park just down the road from our house. We can't let them go because what the homeless do is they get on the trains from downtown and they come down to the suburbs. And they lay all over the place because they think that people are going to take pity on them and give them money. And it's despicable. Every time I go into my local Walmart, there's guys outside pretending to be homeless with signs that say, I'm homeless, I need money, and everything. They're just looking for tax-free money. And I can tell you, I know they're not homeless because I watch them leave later on and get in their cars and drive away. And I go into the Walmart and I ask them, why do you let people do this? They're on your property. Why don't you tell them to leave the property? Because if every business owner said you're on private property, you can go somewhere else, they'd have nowhere else in the community to go. they'd leave. But we allow it. If you had a sandbox, Jagmeet would be crapping in it. We got rid of our sandbox for that very reason. My dog used to go in the sandbox, and then all of a sudden one day, an immigrant showed up and said, I like to poop outside too. And we said, get rid of the sandbox. Get it out of here. Go, get it out. I see it everywhere. Yeah, so do I. Tri-Leisure Sports Center in Spruce is awesome. You know, that is one thing I've said to my kids, we're getting memberships as soon as we move so that they can go there whenever they want. Old Fringe is going to hit the gym when we get there because it's affordable. We can actually go. It's where we got here. Beware of thieves masquerading as Amazon delivery drivers. Don't answer your door. They place the parcel in your mailbox instead. That's weird. I've never heard of that. They walk around with shopping carts. Where did they get the card? They stole. Well, yeah. Of course they steal them. But look, you're going to have crime wherever you go. And that's the funny thing is that when I announced I was moving to Spruce Grove, people said, oh, you think you're going to get away from crime? No, of course there's going to be crime there. But it's not like here. It's not like Calgary. My kids can actually play outside. That's what we want for them. The ability to play outside. The ability for us not to have to panic. Can you still see them? Are they okay? You know, whenever they go to the park, we have to go with them. My 10-year-old daughter always says, look, I'm old enough. Just let me go. I don't trust it. They have a table at our park, at our water park in Somerset, where you can actually reserve times to allow yourself to drink alcohol at that table. Now, not that it's a big deal, because I really don't see the problem with that. But people seem to think that because it's an alcohol table, they can go there and smoke meth and shoot up. And we see it all the time. So we try to have to explain to our kids that it's just not safe for you to go by yourself. And then they get paranoid saying, well, if it's not safe, I don't want to go at all. We don't want that. We're done with it. If Jody Gondek wants to let the city go to hell, everyone should leave so that all of these people crowd around her house. Let her deal with them. Let her have it outside her door every single day. Let these rich elites have the homeless laying on their front lawns doing drugs. Let's see how tolerant they are then. Hard drugs are illegal for a reason. Why go to the park and find a bunch of used syringes? Well, we haven't luckily come across syringes. Lands of Seven Lakes. I'm loving the upside down maple leaves. I appreciate that. That's, guys, if you want to join Patriots Club, don't forget, every membership doesn't just support the channel. You get that upside down maple leaf next to your name as a badge. The longer you're here, the bigger the maple leaf gets. The colors change. You can go from red maple leaf to a black maple leaf to a gold upside down maple leaf over time. And again, it supports the channel, but it shows the government when they're watching these channels. And believe me, the government watches this channel. It shows them your dismay. It pisses them off to no extent. I think we'll be getting Patriots Club shirts made at some point as well for anybody who joins. Maybe we'll start giving those away too, just at random. But we'll put them in the store as well for anybody who's part of the Patriots Club. It'll be great to have you guys join that. We've had so many people join in the last month as well. And that's why I wanted to change things up and kind of make it more, something at least that's inclusive for people to join and have that. Floody Boy asked, what are your thoughts on safe injection sites? Treatment is incredibly expensive and often unaffordable. I don't agree with safe injection sites. I think what we have to do is treat the disorders. We have to treat the addictions, not enable them to take more. I understand that there's safe supply, but usually when you go to like a rehab or something like that and they have things like safe supply, a lot of them don't. But the ones that do, the supply is controlled by the staff, and it is done in a manner that it's supposed to eventually get you off of those drugs. Government will always argue that it's more expensive to put people through a rehab facility that will get them off the drugs. But what they don't realize is the value of somebody's life and the value of getting somebody the treatment they need, because addiction is a terrible, terrible monster to wrestle with. We've lost a family member to addiction in this house, and I can tell you right now that had there been more programs that would force the help on those that needed it, I would definitely prefer that over any kind of safe injection site or safe consumption site of anything. Um, we took our family member to rehab and said they need to go in here. They said, well, if they don't want to come in on their own accord, they can't come in here. They're a danger to themselves, though. They're addicted. Of course, they're not going to come in. Right, but we can't take them in unless they voluntarily come in. Come on. My sister-in-law would still be alive today if rehab was forced on them and we could have got her the help that she needed. I believe that. I believe that. But when it comes to drugs, giving more to these people, enabling it, they want, again, much like Amnesty said it earlier in the stream, create a problem, provide a solution, right? Keep bringing in the drugs so that they can keep going to these sites that we can funnel our money through. It's legality reasons they have to volunteer. I understand that, but it should get to a point. There should be a point. Like if I go to a doctor and say, I'm going to unalive myself, they can have me committed. They can have me put in a hospital where I am not allowed to leave because I'm a danger to myself. It should be the same thing if you've got an alcoholic family member and say they just don't stop drinking. They can't stop drinking. They want to get help, but they can't. They can't even put their hands up to get the help. They almost killed their family members. They've almost done all these terrible things. They need to be monitored. They need to get off the booze. They need to get off the drugs. They need to get off whatever. That should be an ability for doctors to say, yeah, they're a little far past the line. We need to have them entered in. Burger Bob nailing it. They'll offer you made. They give you made because it's cheaper. It's, again, this is the Canada we this is where we're at. And it's so sad. Do you think addiction treatment centers should be included in provincial and federal coverage? To an extent. I think the problem, again, Floody, comes into how, like, I don't think that these centers are the problem or that government's the problem. I think the problem is the way the laws have been written. I think that when it comes to the funding, these outfits, when they get their money, don't forget that anytime this money is funneled out, they're allowed to do whatever they want with it. They don't have to show any kind of paperwork as to where that money went. They don't have to prove money went anywhere or that it was used where it had to be used. There's no laws in place that leave these places liable to have a paper trail of what they were necessarily doing. Often you'll see people at the top getting bonuses. Nothing actually goes to resources or funding or staff or anything that they need in order to do their job better. It's always going to fat cats. And that's where, yes, I think federal and provincial should cover those things, but I think it should come with strings attached. And I think there should be laws that say you have to prove that that money went where it was supposed to go. Or else not only is your funding ceased, but you're going to be liable for the money we gave you previous because it's taxpayer money. It's our money. Canadian guy with $2 super chat. Drugs bad. Alcohol's bad. It is. You have to be careful. The power you give them over the people is, they for sure abuse it. That's Canada RV, that's what I've always said when it comes to government asking for any kind of benefit or any kind of exemption when it comes to laws. Do you guys remember that during COVID? It was, hey guys, we just need this little extension of power for a little bit because we need to bend the rules a little because it's an extreme situation. But don't worry, as soon as this is all over, we're going to give it back. Just sign your rights away. And people went, oh, govern me harder, daddy. And they gave it to the government. They said, sure, yes, please. We're all going to, sky's falling. The sky's falling. You guys can do whatever you want. And the government went like Emperor Palpatine, good, because they were so happy. As soon as you give that power to the government, they never give it back because they get used to it. And then they say, well, why should I give it back? It's kind of, again, I know I'm making a lot of movie references here, but it's like the One Ring. Why shouldn't I keep it? It should be mine. It shouldn't go back to the people. It's kind of like it's Arthur. Okay. The Dragon's Lair is finally back. Arthur, I don't know if you saw my comment. I always told you, we're in the process of moving. If you want that Dragon's Lair, I'll swap you for your Donkey Kong anytime. I would swap straight across. Hit me up if you want to do a swap. I doubt it. I'd love to get my hands on a Donkey Kong. In fact, I'm thinking about changing my Donkey Kong Jr. to a Donkey Kong when I move. That's Allison saying, look at Trudeau now, dictator 3.0. It's Burger Bob, I want the Star Wars. I think you can still find the Star Wars, actually. If you go to Best Buy, I think Best Buy still has them. Best Buy or the Brick. You can order them. I think they're about $600. By far the best cab arcade one I've ever made. By design, by controls, by games. Highly recommend it. See, I knew it. Probably not. You like Dragon's Lair, but you don't like it that much. That's what's funny is that cab was discontinued. This is a $2,000 arcade now. I saw somebody sell one the other day for $2,000. So it's actually worth more than a Donkey Kong cab. But nonetheless, the Brick is out, but I'll check Best Buy. Absolutely. Check Facebook Marketplace too. I see them pop up on there all the time. I see them up there all the time. Don't worry about it, Arthur. I'm probably going to change my DK Jr. into a Donkey Kong once I move because I've got a place I can order all the parts from. I just feel like Donkey Kong's so much better than Donkey Kong Jr. It's Celtic. I thought they just penetrated the cabinets, but ultimately we all got screwed. Yep, absolutely. Before we wrap up the stream, ladies and gentlemen, again, I apologize that Miss Fringe wasn't here tonight. Let's get some questions. I know I answered Floodies and a few other questions in there. I want to hear from you guys. If you guys have anything you want to ask, throw it up in the chat. Let's have a little bit of a chat outside of politics. Let's have some fun before we wrap up this stream. And I'll try and get to all your questions, or at least the ones that I think we should get onto in the chat. I do love Dragon's Lair, but it took me years to finally get my Donkey Kong. I hear you. I've been looking for one for a long, long time. Let me see. Unacceptable Fringe, health and real life first, please. I'm assuming you're talking about looking after things. Floody, are you and Mrs. Fringe going to stream Tuesday's Trump debate? As long as I don't have a showing going on in the house, then yes, I'm going to try my best to get the stream going for that. I will do my best. If for some reason it's not going to happen, always pay attention to my community posts. If for some reason I'm not going to be able to do it, I will post in the community. Arthur, okay, Donkey Kong is better than Donkey Kong Jr. One of the things I was going to get for that arcade was there's a 30-in-1 board, I think, for vertical games. So it had Galaga, it had Miss Pac-Man, it had Donkey Kong 3, Donkey Kong Jr. I was thinking about just putting it in there, which I'll probably still do, and then convert it to a Donkey Kong machine, just so I still have Donkey Kong Jr. But I know those boards aren't the real boards, but you still get all the games in there. It's even got Burger Time on there. I love Burger Time. I have a Burger Time 3/4 scale behind me. Absolutely love it. Autobots or Decepticons? I sense the latter. You know what? I like the Autobots, but I like the look of the Decepticons logo. Devastator is probably one of my favorite Transformers, which is hence the jersey. This is a Devastator jersey. I actually still to this day really want to get my hands on an original Megatron that turns into the handgun that got discontinued. Very difficult, very hard to get these days. But I'd really like to put one up with my Soundwave. If you're talking who I prefer in terms of teams, yeah, of course it's the Autobots. I saw Rebel News will have Danielle Smith on for an interview. Yes, but you know what? We're getting Danielle Smith on the channel before Rebel News. Don't forget, the 14th, I will have Danielle Smith on the channel. I'll be sitting down with her. I believe it's September 13th. The interview will go live on the 14th for you guys here on the channel. I'll be asking her a lot about what she meant about doubling Alberta's population, as well as what's going on with Alberta Health Services these days. So keep your eyes open for that. D saying, while she gets around, no, her and I, we talk outside of YouTube. I quite like Danielle. My personal opinion of her, she's a wonderful person, very friendly, very nice. When it comes to politics, and I've said it on the channel before, even if I like people personally, or if I talk to them personally outside of YouTube, I will still hold their feet to the fire because transparency is key. And I think that you can separate personal from business. I've said that with Pierre as well. And again, him and his wife, fabulous people. I've always enjoyed the conversations I have with them. Canadian guy saying my favorite Transformer was the Maximal Dinobot. I've got a Grimlock, an original Grimlock that my kids tried to destroy. That I've kept it. I've kept it from them, but again, it's all packed up because it's packed up because I had to pack up 3/4 of my basement for house showings. But yes, Devastator was part of the Constructicons. Yes. Vikram Singh, keep up the good work. Love and stay the course. Thank you so much, Vikram. I appreciate that. We love how hard you work to provide us with the latest information and news and live stream chats. Ingrid, I appreciate that. Let me tell you one thing though. I don't have to work that hard. It's not that difficult. The majority of the work goes into getting the videos onto the platform versus actually talking about the things. If I wasn't doing YouTube, I'd still be watching political content all over YouTube. So I can't really say that that's part of the job, because I'd be doing it anyways. But let's see. Does anybody else have any other questions they want to throw into the stream before we wrap up? What do we got here? Hang on, I'm going through. I vomited after seeing that dumb CBC Wonka stuff mocking the truckers. Shut down CBC. Yeah, so it went beyond that. There were ones where they made fun of them doing a press conference, like during the Freedom Convoy. Again, total lack of respect from the CBC, as well as 22 minutes. Well wishes to Mrs. Fringe. Yeah, it was just a small headache tonight. It's nothing major. The problem when I do these streams, like I know you guys don't really see it. Well, you might see it in my glasses. I sit in front of a couple of very bright lights. So it was just going to be hard for her to sit in front of those lights. So she, we got down to the last minute, and that was part of the reason the stream started late. Was she just said, "I can't do it. I just can't sit in front of those lights. I'm so sorry." She felt terrible. Ange asking, when's the next nostalgia game chill and chat? I'll try to get one done this week, Ange. Again, a lot of people seem to get frustrated and mad with those. They say that they don't like them because it's childish or they don't get it. I don't know. If you guys do like those streams, put a 1 in the chat. Let me know you like them. I'll continue with them. But that's part of the reason I just did a regular stream this Thursday instead of a gaming fun little hangout stream, was because I kind of thought people didn't enjoy those. I tried it a couple times. Miss Danny saying, can you repeat your interview with Danielle Smith, September 13 live and then repeat? No. So I'm sitting down with her September 13th in a private interview, which will be recorded and then uploaded September 14th for you guys. Oh, we're getting a lot of 1s in the chat. There we go. Okay. Well, maybe we'll still do those streams then, if that's how you guys feel. Yeah, the Danielle Smith interview, we talked about doing a live, but it's the times, they just didn't balance. And Danielle's, sometimes you got to understand that when we actually sit down to do the stream, sometimes there's a lot of messing around when it comes to microphones and people getting set up on her end, and it just ends up looking like a mess. So we just said, no, we'll do a recorded interview and then I'll put it out. I don't cut anything or trim anything from those interviews, so you guys don't have to worry about me leaving things out. We don't do any of that stuff here. In the words of Black Panther, we don't do that here. So you don't have to worry about that. You'll be getting the full interview, and it'll be great. You have to go see Alien Romulus. I've heard mixed things about it, but I don't know if I'm going to check that one out or not. I want to see the new Beetlejuice movie. I've been hearing good things about it. I loved Michael Keaton. Not only as Batman, because he's Batman, but Beetlejuice, the original Beetlejuice, was amazing. I've heard that this isn't woke either, which is great. Who's the young girl that's in that played Wednesday Addams? I forget her name, even though people say it all the time now. But she's a great actress. I think she's really good. I love the 90s Addams Family movies, Addams Family and Addams Family Values. And I watched Wednesday because my daughter really enjoyed it. And I got to say, I thought Jenna Ortega, that's it. Yeah, she's great. I think she was great. Wednesday was an okay show. Ingrid saying, oh my God, where's Peter Griffin? Where's that Peter Griffin impression? Gosh, not hanging around here. Roadhouse. Some people wanted me to do Stewie last week on Wednesday, and I should have been talking about Cool Whip. You guys want to have a little bit of Cool Whip? Why are you putting so much emphasis on the H? What, like whip? Cool Whip? My wife hates it when I get into that mode, especially if we start talking about certain avionic birds, because I thought everybody understood the word. Do you or do you not know the word? If I ever tell her the bird is the word, boy, this house, yeah, that's divorce territory. It's Canadian guy. I wish CBC would Jeff Dunham Walter voice shut the hell up. There you go. Yeah, absolutely. Top Gun Maverick was a more realistic movie. Top Gun Maverick was amazing. Stampeders fan or Bombers? I saw that wintertime. I don't know if you mentioned that in the last stream, but I saw somebody else mention that. It's Bombers. Sorry, my colors don't run. I'm a Winnipeg fan. I grew up in Winnipeg. I'm a Jets fan through and through. You know, when we moved to Spruce, yes, I'll take my son to an Oilers game. He loves the Oilers. He wants to go see the Oilers. I got no problem rocking an Oilers jersey. But I'll tell you right now, when it comes down to who I support, it's the Jets. It's always Jets. Go Jets, go. Bombers all the way. Yep, nothing else. Especially not the Riders, because, you know, they're Saskatchewan. You know, the thing about the Saskatchewan Roughriders is if they ever get a divorce, they're still cousins. Right? So there's a reason I can't support the Saskatchewan Roughriders. It's as long as it's not the Leafs, God, that I'd be signing up for MAID if I supported the Leafs. Come on. Romanian Patriot, maybe a farewell Calgary meetup before you move. If I can swing that, absolutely. I'll try and get something going. Maybe I'll try and get something like maybe central Calgary, somewhere central, not really down in my end of the woods, because it's not really fair to have people go all over the place. But maybe I'll set something up for that, and we'll see if we can get it done. What else do we got here? Everybody's talking about the Rough Riders. We're not gonna do the Rough Riders. Jesus, you guys, come on, have some dignity. Rough Riders. That's terrible. The Wolverine scene in Deadpool 3 was amazing. You know, when you see it, no spoilers. Oh, you don't have to worry about spoilers now. That movie's been out for over a month. There's no. Which one are you talking about? At least give me a hint to which one you're talking about. If you're talking about the one they're in the Honda Odyssey, that's pretty good when he loses it. Did you get the house you wanted? Says Jancourt. We have an offer. So we're in a really tricky situation right now because we've put an offer on the house that we want. It's ready to go. They wanted us to move in by the end of September. The problem is that Calgary's market seems to have slowed a little bit. It's not as fast as it was in the summer. And I thought we were going to see offers really fast. Again, I've shown you guys the house on stream, all the photos they took. Our realtors have done a fantastic job. We just haven't been getting showings as often as I thought we were going to. So we don't have an offer on the house yet. However, we're the second lowest price house in the neighborhood. We wanted to try and sell quick. I feel that we're going to get an offer very soon. But the problem with the house that we want is that it's on condition of our house selling for us to get in there. So what that means is that if somebody else comes along and offers them a full sale, they can take it and they don't have to keep us on the wayside. So hopefully we still maintain the house that we want. CB saying the new house doesn't have appliances in it. No, it doesn't, but we got an appliance allowance. And honestly, I'm almost happier that way to go out and get my own appliances. We seen some stuff that we wanted for the new place. And honestly, when you have the equity that you're moving over, sometimes it's nice to get some nicer things other than the stuff that they put in their standard. So I'm actually good with not having appliances. I think it's going to be great. Ingrid saying, be patient. Yeah, it's a waiting game. I'll tell you the frustrating thing. Oh, when Wolverine puts his old school mask on. Yeah, that was good too. That was a good part of the end of the movie. The problem right now is the waiting game of, I've said to my wife, it's kind of like when you go somewhere and you're staying in a hotel, you kind of feel like you're not really at home. You know what I mean? Like you can't live while you're there. That's kind of in the mode we're in right now because the house always has to stay clean, picture perfect in case we get a call that there's going to be a showing. What I feel the worst about is that my kids essentially have nothing they can do because they can't make a mess, right? I have to constantly watch my 4-year-old when he's playing with toys. We have to limit what he's taken out because ultimately he'll dump all of his toys on the floor and we'll have a 3-hour mess to clean up. So I just hate having to restrict my kids so much on everything that they're doing while we're transitioning into this period. Once we get an offer on the house and we're packing to move, I'll be much happier because then at least we know where we're going. We know what we're doing. We have a plan. And my kids can essentially live in the house until we move. And I don't have to worry about anybody walking in, coming in, saying something. They're allowed to live the way they want to live. So it's really tough. Just being in this phase. And even tomorrow, I'm supposed to take my kids to the zoo. The Calgary Zoo is a fantastic zoo if you've never been there. My daughter is in love with penguins. She wants to go see the penguins, so we're going to take her to see that tomorrow. They've also got polar bears at the zoo now that they got this year, and my son was anxious to see those, so we're going to try and see those before we leave. So even to plan to take my kids to the zoo tomorrow, it's like, well, can we go, or what if we have a showing? Because the problem, if we have a showing, we have a dog and a cat. We can't just leave them in the house, so we have to, sit at the end of the street while people are looking at the house with the dog and the cat in the car. So it's all those kind of things that kind of get in the way right now. It's just, we're in that weird mode, that frustration mode of trying to just get an offer so that we can move on with our lives. But I like the penguin exhibit. Was there 2 weeks ago? The penguin exhibit is amazing there. The smell's a little strong when you go in there because of all the fish, but it's still, it's amazing. I do love it. I do love it. Get a bread maker, have it on during viewings. The smell says I'm home to potential buyers. It's a good idea. I always try to watch that stuff because I had a friend who tried the cookie thing, and then somebody had allergies to something and they go, oh, they can't come in the house. They're not going to see it. I just don't ever want to have one of those kind of problems. So I'm a bit paranoid when it comes to those things. So now it's about cookies. There you go. That's funny. That's funny. This close to an election might be smart. Wait and buy a house. So there's a couple of things that go on with that. It's CB saying West Edmonton Mall had penguins at one point. They used to in the under, what do they call it? The smaller animal sea exhibit or whatever they had. It's LD saying, I bet you'll get a good offer this weekend. I sure hope so. it would be, what's this, Scott Howell? Your realtor should take better care of you. Listen, my realtor, Mark and Natalie Newstater of EXP Realty, which I know they watch the channel. They're great realtors. They've been fantastic. They've given good advice. They've been on top of everything. Anytime I have questions, again, this is the first time my wife and I are actually in the process of selling a home because this was our first home. So we don't really know the ins and outs of how everything works. Um, what certain terms mean. So anytime I have to ask them something, they're always great with things. They do take good care of us. They can't help the way that the market is. The market was hot in the summer. Was you get to fall, things are changing a little, and part of that is because of the interest rates. At least that's what I feel. Rates came down a quarter point this week, and maybe there's just a lot of people that are holding off, waiting for those rates to come down a little bit before they start buying houses up. So, it could just take a little bit longer than normal. But it's definitely not on the back of the realtor. The realtor is doing a great job. Very supportive, always in touch. Karen saying the real estate interest rates are still high. Yes, they are. And that was what was funny about our place was that we knew moving, we were going to be paying a higher bit, but we said, rates are coming down. We just went on a 2-year agreement with our bank versus a 5 because we know they're coming down. So it's like, well, we're comfortable paying the same as what we're roughly paying right now for our mortgage in Calgary for the next 2 years, and then we're paying less. So we found the house we loved and said, if it works out, we're all in good shape and everybody's happy. It's most customer service has taken a huge R in this country. Yes, it has. And that's where, again, I've been very grateful to our real estate team. I want to look up their channel really quick because I think they are on YouTube. Living in YYC is their channel. Mark and Natalie Newstater, and I'm going to put a link to I'm going to give them a free shout out. Why not? Put a link to their YouTube here in the chat. If you guys ever want to check it out, they do have great videos that talk about why you should move to Calgary or surrounding towns around Calgary. Facts about the real estate market, what's happening in the real estate market. They do live streams. So they've actually, I found them through my realtor in Spruce Grove that I found. They came recommended. But as soon as she mentioned them, I knew who they were because I've seen their videos pop up on my feed. But I actually found my realtor through doing research about Spruce Grove through their YouTube channel. And I'll tell you right now, it's they've been fabulous. They've been absolutely fabulous. Miss Danny, I wish you the best in your real estate dealings. I thank you so much. I appreciate that. I know people get sick sometimes of me talking about those things, but I try to put it in relation to what's happening in the country right now because I really don't care what people think about why we're moving. I'm trying to show that what we've done is because of the state of the country, because of the state of our city, that this is what WEF-run mayors cause people to do. We've run out of options. It's not just the fact that we've been priced out of living in Calgary. If we want a larger home for our family in Calgary, it's going to cost us an extra 150 grand on top of what we'd be spending to go to Spruce Grove. However, it's not just the money. It's the crime. It's the fact that jobs haven't kept up with the inflation rate. In Calgary, you're undercut no matter where you work because of immigrants. You've got 10 people sharing a house that they don't care what they're getting paid. So they're willing to accept 15 to 20% less for a job than the average person with a mortgage. And that just opens the door. That's the biggest thing I always hate about job interviews is that anytime I sat down in interviews when I was in the working world, they'd always say, what do you feel is an appropriate wage? And I'd always say, well, don't you have one in mind? Well, yeah, but we'd like to hear what you want to be paid. Why? Why does it matter what I want to be paid? I want to be paid $1 million. Why should I lowball it so that you can get away with paying me less? I hate that. I don't think that should be allowed. It should technically be illegal. Jobs should have to post what they're paying. And I understand different levels of experience get different levels of pay, but jobs should have to dictate, if you have this experience and you're hired, this is what you'll be paid so that you know what you're getting paid when you're being hired. I've often said, and one of the tricks I learned in business school is when you're sitting in an interview and they say, so what is it you're looking to be paid? I always say to them, I would just ask that you pay me on a fair scale, the same as everybody else. I'm not going to put a dollar value on it. My resume speaks for itself. You see my qualifications. You pay me what you feel is fair based on my qualifications. And if they go, well, we'd really just like a dollar figure, I tell them I'm not going to give you one, even if it means I don't get the job. Because I don't think it's fair. You've got constant people in the city that can't afford their rent because they've got other people. So for somebody who makes an average, we'll say of $80,000 a year at their job, they go and sit down in their job interview and they'll say to these mass migrants, what are you willing to work for? You're qualified. And they'll say, well, I'm willing to work for $60,000 a year. The person who's done their time, who's worth that $80,000 a year, sits down and says, I made 80 at my last job. I'd like to make 80 here. And they go, yeah, we're going to go in a different direction. Because they can save 20 grand a year by hiring Joe Blow, who doesn't care what he's making. And it's devastated our job market. People in Calgary can't afford their mortgages alongside the cost of living, food, gas, rent, utilities, you name it. They're willing to work for peanuts. Vikram, it's the way it is because, and I'll tell you, I used to know somebody who was Filipino, moved here from the Philippines with their family, and until they got settled, there was something like 9 of them living in a townhouse. All family, like mothers-in-laws, fathers-in-laws, siblings, they were all in the same house. And they were all driving BMWs while working minimum wage jobs because while they're making minimum wage, they're paying for a small rent on a townhome in comparison to what a house would cost. So when they pool all their money together, they can afford expensive cars and nice things. They can go on trips. They can send money back home because they're used to living like that. And it's undercutting the general working class in Canada. My wife has been in her career field for 20 years. She's still making 2015 wages at her job in 2024. And if she asks for more, if she asks what she's worth, the company's going to say, well, we're going through hard times, or we just can't do that right now, or they'll replace her with somebody who's less expensive. Ottawa has condos going up everywhere. Every city has condos going up everywhere. That's part of what made me feel we were in a profitable position in Calgary to put our house on the market. Nobody's making houses anymore. Nobody's getting lots. We talked about this last week. 0 lots are common in Calgary, meaning you can go like this on the side of your house and touch your house and your neighbors, meaning they put the bare minimum amount of space between houses. When houses catch fire now, multiple houses burn down because of these 0 lots. But the reason they do it is because they can cram more houses into less space. So people don't have yards anymore. We do. We have a yard. We have a decent backyard. That's what I felt was more attractive for this house than most others that are brand new, which also cost about $150,000 more than my house. Those houses don't have a yard. They're doing row housing now because they just want to cram everybody in while still charging top dollar. So when Pierre Poilievre talks about, well, we need to build the homes, which homes are you talking about? He says we need to build homes so the average Canadian can afford to buy a house. A row house? A townhouse? An apartment? A condo? An average family home? What are we talking about here, Pierre? Those are the questions people should be asking. Because when you look at these 15-minute cities, it's all townhouses, row houses, 0 lot houses. They're all crammed in together. That's all I see going up in neighborhoods right now, in new neighborhoods. I saw it. Where is it? Something about subdivisions. Here we go. Most new subdivisions barely have room to even park a car on the road without someone sideswiping your vehicle. I can tell you in Calgary, like, you don't even get a garage anymore. Have you ever thought of starting a business to help people start their own channel? I work maybe 3 months a year in the oil patch, lots of time, but I'm not a tech guy. JD, I could totally get something like that going. I'd be happy to consult. I just don't know anybody who'd want to pay for that kind of thing. I mean, if people would want to pay to learn how YouTube works and how to get into YouTube, I'm happy to teach people. Karen saying it's true about the Filipino people. I was an ICU nurse for almost 30 years. Filipino have at least 2 jobs, if not 3. So again, but it's not just the Philippines. Like I meant that just as I knew that person personally, because they used to live across the street from us when my wife and I had our first townhome that we rented. But it's like a lot of families that move from those countries, whether it's anywhere Eastern Asia, like if you look at the Philippines, South Korea, um, even India. It's common for multiple family members to live together in the same house. They don't care. JD, I would pay. Hey, maybe you can reach out. We'll figure out something there. It may not be what you own. It may be what you owe. It may be who you know. Well, yeah, in some places. Oh, come on, buddy. Those Saskatchewan comments are uncalled for. There's a lot of Saskatchewan people here supporting your channel. It's a joke wintertime. People call Alberta rednecks all the time. You know, I used to have a joke about you get divorced in Saskatchewan, you're still cousins. It's a joke. We do humor on this channel. Come on. I know we got lots of people from Saskatchewan on the channel. Look, everybody always used to say BC's potheads, you know, Ontario's, you know, the lower thinking functioning class. Like it's come on. Are you a redneck? No, I'm from Manitoba. So if anything, I'm a country bumpkin. I'm not. It's not mean. I'm not trying to be mean. It's a joke. Come on, you guys, don't be like that. This is where, look, and it's not hate over at wintertime. It's just, if we can't laugh at ourselves, what good are we? Like if we start going, I'm offended every time somebody says something, like what are we going to do here? Like, how do we ever get better? We're no better than the left at that point. It's a joke. There was a song, I forget the band who did it, but it came out in the Kids in the Hall days. It was called Ontario Sucks or something like that. And they went through all of the provinces and said like Saskatchewan is boring. The people are old. And as for the territories, they're too cold. And all this. And they said the only good thing about Manitoba is it right next to us because, the best thing about it was they were from Alberta. And the end of the song said the only good thing about BC is it's right next to us because Alberta doesn't suck, but Calgary does. Like it's all a joke. Like in Calgary, we have a rivalry with Edmonton. You know, Labor Day Classic. You always hear about the Stamps versus, well, I guess who is it now? The Elks, not the Eskimos. I still say the Eskimos, Edmonton Eskimos. But you've got the Labor Day Classic. You've got Edmonton Oilers versus the Flames all the time. The battle for Alberta. And everybody always goes, oh, Edmonton's the armpit of Canada, and people say, yeah, Calgary's full of rednecks and you know the R word, and it's all just fun wordplay. It's not. This is the channel of picking on ourselves. If your feelings are going to get hurt, it's I can take a joke. Just so many gap jokes from Manitoba. I get it. I get it. I'm not picking on you wintertime, believe me. It's Canadian guy with $5 super chat. Have you ever seen the Newfie mug? It has a handle on the inside. Yeah, my brother-in-law is a Newfie, and I used to ask him if he took a shower, which is a Newfie shower. If you don't know what a Newfie shower is, all you got to do is wait for a strong wind current and unzip your fly. I mean, that's. Can you comment on the Green Line being canceled? Yes, I did earlier, Dustin. I think it's appropriate that they cancel it, and I think it's hypocritical that Jody Gondek's having a fit over it. It's in my opinion, houses today are too big and take too long to build. You should not take 2 years to build a home. Okay, so So the reason that they may feel too big, it really depends on the size of your family. So again, excuse me, I keep having these little flakes drop off into my mouth. Um, we currently live in a 1,500 square foot home with 3 children. And I'm telling you right now, it's starting to get cramped as my kids get older. So you need a house with more space. Now, the reason those houses are taking 2 years to build is because of red tape. That's what Pierre is always talking about, is clearing the red tape to get those houses built on time, faster, and more in production. So I don't really think it's the size of the houses that have the issue. Um, I think that it's the red tape that's constituted with them. New houses are cookie cutter and mass produced with a lot of issues hidden behind the walls. So you've hit it right on the head. In fact, you'll notice in a lot of new neighborhoods, especially in Calgary, that a lot of the houses tend to have electrical fires within the first 6 months to a year. Anytime you hear of a fire, it was always something caused by the shoddy design. And the reason for that is I used to have a cousin who worked in siding. At one point, I helped him with his siding jobs. And we used to see electricians go through, and instead of being paid um, by the hour or by contract, they're now paid like they used to be paid. And I'm talking like early 2000s. Contractors are now paid by the unit, and it's a low amount. So again, it's companies that have the legality to squeeze them essentially for more production. So they tell these electricians, or they'll tell pipe fitters, or they'll tell whoever, you got to get in there and get it done quickly, or you're not going to make your money. So you get shoddy work done because they got to get it done fast in order just to pay their bills. So you see all these houses go up in flames. Remember when your fireplace that exploded right beside me back in the day? Yeah, so when my brother used to live with me in a townhouse, we had a gas fireplace, like one of those typical gas fireplaces with the glass front to it in our townhome. And we were just sitting there one day, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, the glass just exploded. Just exploded because it was installed improperly. It happens all the time. It's just shoddy workmanship. Don't move to Edmonton. They have right lanes and end nowhere. In the US, they build the roads first. Well, it's a good thing I'm not moving to Edmonton. Jesse saying, as a resident from Spruce Grove, I welcome you and your family to our great city. Jesse, I appreciate that. Do you know how many great comments I've gotten about that area and people in that area saying welcome? I can tell you right now, that is the most heartwarming thing that I keep hearing, is people saying they're excited to have us out there. They're hoping to see us out there, that they welcome us. That's Canadian. I don't know what isn't Canadian more than that. I'm looking forward to being out there. As soon as we get a bloody offer on the house, we'll get out there. As soon as things pick up. It's I love Spruce Grove every time I was there. So we went there. There was a drive-in we went to when we went there to look at houses. I think it was called Jack's or something like that. Jack's Drive-In. Let me pull it because I don't want to misrepresent Spruce Grove. We stopped in there to grab lunch because I'd heard about it. Yeah, Jack's Drive-In, Spruce Grove. I'll tell you right now, as soon as I took a bite of my meal, I said, we're moving here. That's it. I don't care what the houses look like. I don't care what the cost of things are. We're moving here. I love brick and mortar, mom and pop businesses. Coming from Winnipeg, like that was one of the things I used to love in Winnipeg all the time, was you'd go over to a friend's house in Transcona or something. I used to have a friend who lived on Talbot and Watt in Winnipeg. And you'd go over to his place. He'd say, hey, this new barbecue place opened up down the street. Let's go grab a burger or whatever. And you go there, and it was always like the best food in the world because it was homemade. It was somebody's recipe. It wasn't franchised. It wasn't processed foods. I miss that. That's one thing I liked about Jack's Drive-In, was that it's a family-run business. It's a small little drive-in shack, and it just reminded me of Winnipeg. Spruce Grove doesn't have chicken on the way. God, that is the greasiest, nastiest chicken I've ever had in my life. I can't do chicken on the way. I can't. Spruce Grove is easy to get around, I've heard. It's mom and pop places are the best. I do like the brick and mortar. I like the non-franchise. One of the places I always go to every time I go back to Winnipeg to visit, there's a place called Junior's. You go there for their burgers, their hot dogs. I mean, again, I know I keep talking about burgers like I eat that stuff all the time. I know you can probably tell by looking at me, I probably do, but it's, I'm telling you, Junior's was a staple when I was a kid. You know, after playing soccer in the summer or something, my old man would always hop in the car. Let's go to Junior's. They still have arcade machines in their restaurants, and it's Winnipeg owned. I absolutely love Junior's back in the day. So shout out to Junior's. But that's what I always missed when I came to Calgary. Calgary, you don't see that a lot. You have to look for it in Calgary. They do exist. I'm not going to say they don't, but in Calgary, you really have to go looking. Here, it's all McDonald's, Burger King, A&W, Taco Bell. Well, no, Taco Bell left. It's all Taco Time. You know, Wendy's, all the franchise stuff. There's no mom and pop can't survive here. Hectic Stairs. I love Junior's. Who doesn't? Junior's is amazing. If you ever go to Winnipeg, go to Junior's. Mike TV Dub in Winnipeg used to go to Junior's every Friday when I worked downtown. Main Street or Portage has the best Junior's, I think, out of all. And we used to go to the one on St. Mary's, I believe it was, where I used to live. But bad anger management just ruined my day. If there's no Popeyes in Spruce, I ain't going no more. What is it? What is it, Little Nicky? Adam Sound, you say? Popeye's chicken's fucking awesome. It's we got a Popeyes built just down the road from our house, and their chicken sandwich. I won't eat anything there except their chicken sandwich, and it's amazing. Their spicy chicken sandwich, the bomb. Peter's Drive-In is still there. Yes, so Peter's Drive-In. The bad thing about Peter's Drive-In is that they franchised it out. It used to be the mom and pop in Calgary. They franchised it out. They built one in Red Deer, and I've heard it's terrible. Like, I won't even try it. I've heard it's so bad. There's another place on Edmonton Trail in Calgary called Boogie's Burgers. I'm going to show you guys a burger they have there that I've had because I got a really funny story with it. Let me pull it up. Let me get that burger there. They have a burger at Boogie's called Don't Fear the Reaper. Now, let me pull it up so you guys can see this. I went to Boogie's Burgers with my brother-in-law. Is Derek going to open a burger bar? I wish. If I had the money to do it, I'd actually open a steakhouse. My wife and I went to Gordon Ramsay's in Vegas, and she actually insulted the cooks there and said that I make a better steak. I know there were jokes going around about the steak I made when Clyde was here, but I'll tell you right now, I did that on purpose because nobody likes Clyde. But I make a pretty kick-ass steak. I would open a steak place if I could do anything. So this is the burger at Boogie's Burgers on Edmonton Trail in Calgary. It's called Don't Fear the Reaper. So my brother-in-law and my other brother-in-law one day, like we were doing like a bachelor party for my younger brother-in-law because he was getting married. We ended up at Boogie's Burgers. Now my older brother-in-law, who I went to high school with, said, "Hey, we should all get this Don't Fear the Reaper burger." Now, if you can't tell by the screen here, it's 4 patties, tomatoes, 2 filleted hot dogs, fried eggs, bacon, and a corn dog shoved into the top. And it is an amazing burger. But my brother-in-law goes, "Hey man, we should all do the Don't Fear the Reaper burger because we're out in a bachelor party. It'd be a lot of fun." And he said, "I'm buying." And I said, no, we'll all split it. Don't worry about it. He says, no. He says, "I'm buying. Don't worry about it." So he goes up and he orders and he comes back. Now, the waitress comes back a few minutes later because they make it all fresh when you order. She brings 2 Don't Fear the Reaper burgers. And then my brother-in-law, my older one who ordered, has just like a regular burger and fries. And I said, what the hell is this? What are you doing with this? And he says, "Well, you think I'm going to eat that?" He says, "I'm not going to eat that burger. That's insane." So, of course, because he paid for it, I felt like I can't waste his money. So I had to eat it. I ate the whole bloody thing. And not only that, but when we started eating it, I was like, I'm just going to take my time. I'll get through it. my younger brother-in-law was like, "Oh, I just got a text. We got to get back to the house." His fiance wanted him there for something, so we had to rush. So I shoveled this burger down. I felt like I was going to die by the time we got home. And while we were doing this, my wife was throwing like a bachelorette party because it was a day trip. My younger brother-in-law lived out of town, so it was like a day trip kind of thing, just for fun. They were doing like a little bachelorette or bridal shower in the backyard. Um, my sister-in-law had made cupcakes, and she makes the best cupcakes. Now I walked into the door feeling like garbage from this burger. I could hardly walk, and the first thing I did, Mrs. Fringe, my wife Tiffany, she had an explosive laughter because she walked in the door and she saw the burger. I texted her a picture of the burger on the way home, and I saw the cupcakes on the counter. And I'm like, oh my god! And I took a cupcake and put it in my mouth, and I literally stopped. And like, I'm not one to really talk with food in my mouth, but this time it was just like I literally stopped and was like, what am I doing? And I fell and laid on the floor for a good half an hour before I could get up. It was insane. Canadian guy with a $5 super chat there saying, I'm surprised there wasn't any blue oysters in the Don't Fear the Reaper burger. Sounds like it needs more cowbell. How? You gotta have more cowbell. The Don't Fear the Reaper burger was a mistake. It was a definite mistake. I've got a lot of burger stories. I got a lot of funny burger stories. Dustin Ellis, would you give Jagmeet his pension just to have an early election? Waiting another year will cost us more. No, I don't think he should get it. I think he should get thrown in jail. Mouth of the South, thanks for popping in tonight. Always great to see you. Sorry again for the timeout earlier. Again, that's YouTube censorship. But hey, I'm glad you stuck around. Thanks for popping in. There is one I'll show you guys. Again, another funny burger story. When I was 19, there's a place in Winnipeg called Blondie's. If you have been to Winnipeg and heard of it, it's no longer there. But they used to have a food challenge. Hang on one second. Blondie's used to have what they called an 11-pound burger. Now, I'll pull up a picture of it. It looks like the size of an extra large pizza. I went to visit one of my friends, actually the friend that I want to bring on for Unhinged Fringe. He dragged me into this place called Blondie's. Again, mom and pop place. They closed down. 11-pound burger. You can see here people signed the walls in there. Really cool place. Really hip place. An 11-pound burger. Now, the chick owner there was scary, says Mike TV Dub. Yeah, she was there when I went there. This friend of mine was still living with his mom. We were like 18, 19 years old. So I went to visit. She was on vacation. She left him at the apartment, and I went to visit. And this other friend of mine came over and said, did you hear about this place Blondie's? They got this 11-pound burger. I bet you guys could never eat it. Oh my God, it's impossible. And being the moron I am, I said, oh, 11 pounds. And all I kept thinking was like double quarter pounders at McDonald's. And I was like, oh, I do those all the time. No big deal. So I said, I could eat one of those. And he says, nah, there's no way you could do it. So I said, yeah, I bet you I can. So he says, okay, deal. He says, I'll bet you, what was it? He said, I'll bet you $200. You can't eat that burger. And I said, fair enough, fine, whatever. And this friend of mine who I was staying with, now he gave me a couple of days to get ready to eat this thing, mostly because of his work schedule. This friend of mine who was staying in he was living in his mom's place, she left him money for groceries. Now, the rule at Blondie's is that if you ate the burger, you got a free one to take home and the meal was free. So if we won, we would get another burger and I'd get $200. And this friend of mine, he went and spent all of his bloody money that his mom left him for the week for groceries on booze. And he came back and he said, you'd better eat that whole burger because I need the free one in order to survive while my mom's gone. And all I kept thinking was, I don't have the money to give him to survive if I lose. So we went to this Blondie's place and it took me 3.5 hours, but I finished that burger. I finished that 11-pound burger. And I'd never felt more sick in my life. In fact, it's probably a good explanation as to how I got looking the way I do right now. It's it was right then Derek realized he made a mistake. I was almost like Ron Burgundy. I was literally sitting there going, I immediately regret this decision. It was torture. But I did the 11.5 pound burger or the 11-pound burger in 3.5 hours. It was absolutely insane. I remember seeing my old man later that day because like we had family in Winnipeg. We went back to visit and I caught up with my old man and he basically slapped me in the back of the head and said, moron. Like he just couldn't get over that I actually did this. My friend had photos, but back then it was like the Motorola flip phone photos, like the little tiny pixelated ones. Oh, what a day. 3.5 hours. I had to literally stand up and like push the burger down like this and cut it with a knife and fork just to eat it. It was absolutely the meat sweats. Let me tell you something. It wasn't fun to get out of my system. That's all I'm gonna say. It was a very I didn't eat for like 2.5 days after going there. It was crazy. The 11-pound burger is a powerful source of protein. It was absolutely insane. It was crazy. How is Derek still alive? I don't know. I honestly don't know. I can tell you I couldn't do that these days. There's no way I could do any of that stuff. In fact, there's a cool channel I watch on YouTube. Speaking of that, if you ever want to watch cool food challenges like that, if you guys ever see this channel called Beard Meets Food, but it meets is spelled MEATS. He's an English professional eater, really skinny guy with a huge beard, and he goes around the world eating all these food challenges, and they're really funny to watch because he's a funny guy. He's come to Calgary and he's done all kinds of US stuff. Beard Meets Food is a really fun channel. If you guys ever want to watch that stuff, go check it out. He does some really cool, really wacky stuff. Romanian Patriots is such a good show. It's a great channel. It's a great channel. It's bad anger mention. I'm gonna make a Wagyu burger next time. No, I don't mess around with Wagyu beef unless I go somewhere where they're making it. It's crazy. Canada RV saying it puts you in keto mode. You know what's funny is back in 2019, I did keto for a year and the results were absolutely amazing. I've been wanting to get back onto keto ever since, but I'll tell you right now, the biggest problem with keto is the cost. Keto is so expensive to stay on it, like the way you're supposed to stay on it. But it was so good at the time because I found a recipe for natural peanut butter ice cream. I could essentially eat any meats that I wanted. You could have bacon for lunch. You could have steak for dinner. There was Jordan Peterson talks about the carnivore diet, and I've talked to him in private about the carnivore diet, and it's very beneficial from what I hear. I'd love to get back onto something like that. Romanian Patriot, it's good, but it does cost you. Yes. Very beneficial. Wintertime, I got to say, I rely on this channel for truth. It's my go-to. Can't even think of Legacy TV. I appreciate that, Wintertime. Thank you. I appreciate that. 36 hours of fasting puts you in keto once a month. I've got another friend who does that too. He only eats like twice a week or like on weekends and stuff. It's other than that, it's yogurt and berries or something. See, Mystical. So you know what's funny is like I got a friend in Winnipeg who's a personal trainer, and it's not about starving yourself. Like what you got to realize, and I keep telling it because there's times where, and again, and I only mention Mrs. Fringe because every woman gets like this, where they're like, I'm just gonna have salads for a while because I want to tuck away the weight. But what you don't realize is that your stomach is essentially like a gas tank, right? If you're not putting the fuel into it, then when it eventually gets fuel, it's tucking it all away. Right. So if you're not fasting properly, there's an actual science behind that stuff. I know I'm the worst person to be giving health advice, but one of the things I noticed and been told by dietitians as well as my friend who's a trainer is that if you look at a guy like Hugh Jackman and you look at what he does to look like Wolverine, he says that he only spends about 3 hours a day in the gym, which sounds like a lot, but really when you rack it up as a full-time job, 3 hours is nothing. The rest of it is what he's eating. And he says you're eating small amounts of good food throughout the day. You're feeding that engine. You're giving your body what it needs. If you're starving your body and you're not fasting the right way, if you're not giving small doses of something to your body, then what happens is you eat and then it immediately stores it as fat. everything you eat from there on in. Like if you eat a sandwich on the weekend and say, I haven't had anything to eat all week, you'll balloon up, instant balloon. It's, and that's why a lot of their DMAX got it, drink water. That's why a lot of people who fast are heavy into the water because there's something at least in their system. But and Stinger says it here too, 5 to 6 meals a day. So I've noticed that too. So like I've got, Jackman is also PED'd to the gills. I'm not sure what that means. But regardless, like I know, like as soon as we move, I've told my wife I gotta, because now that we've looked at the cost of going to this leisure center, getting a gym membership, I've said I'm gonna start getting into shape again. Things have been crazy over the last year, but the one thing I've done with balancing my weight and not gaining any future weight is that I tend to eat small increments throughout the day. A lot of things like almonds, different kinds of snack foods that are actually beneficial. I found out that part of my problem in life was that I was actually celiac. I've got a gluten problem. So like if I eat a sandwich, I'll go up a waist size, even if I haven't had much to eat that day. So getting off of the breads is a big thing for me. And people always say it with me. Like Clyde even said it when he came to visit. He's like, you really don't eat a lot. And I said, no, I usually don't, but I'm still big like this. And a lot of that was the celiac. So getting off the breads is what's going to do it. It's, breads is always my weakness because I'll tell you, anytime I go to the grocery store and we'll go through the bakery section and you start seeing some of those cream cheese pastries or Christmas time, you see Nanaimo bars or, things like it, you start going, oh, it's just one time. That one time turns into a lot. It's, food needs gluten for taste. Yes, CB, it does. It's, no, I don't watch Clyde. No. Clyde had Ernie on for an interview. I didn't see it. No. I'd rather play Leapfrog with a unicorn than watch Clyde. That's that's no. On that note, ladies and gentlemen, again, if I've done anything embarrassing or over the top tonight, I apologize. It won't happen again. But on that note, I hope you guys have a good rest of your weekend. I hope you enjoy yourselves. I don't really have a lot lined up for the rest of the weekend in terms of videos. I'm going to try to get some things lined up, hopefully for Sunday and there on in, but tune in Monday at the very latest. There will be new content here on the channel and all week long for you guys to happily consume. Make sure when you watch those videos, hit a thumbs up, leave a comment. It does help get it out. Again, YouTube's been squashing things lately, and it just helps us get out there. It helps the Fringe move on. Big shout out and thank you to everybody for their super chats tonight. Ron Jeremy, Dustin Ellis, we've got Canadian Guy with many of those super chats. Bad Anger Management, Rick Robitaille, Sean Gao, Karen Lyzak, Jan Kor, and Deanna Vivon. I hope I pronounced those properly. Thank you again, everybody. And I hope you guys have a great rest of your weekend. Again, I feel a little bad about everything I kind of ended on with. I probably shouldn't have. Again, I'll apologize for that in advance. Yeah, it won't happen again. It's good to get it out there, though. But you guys have a great weekend. And as always, take care of each other. We have one of the best communities on this channel. I hope to see you all next Friday with Mrs. Fringe. I'll catch you on the next one, everybody.